scribbler for the... Wait, what? What?
Scribbler for the retina notices needed. Paying crops and vills.
Vills! Oh, we know that word, of course.
Yep.
Because we used to read Redwall back in the day, and I remember that the moles and what was it? There was a hedgehog, and there were, or maybe it was the shrews. I forget who in particular. They were always anxious to get their little paws on new victuals. Do you have any victuals?
Oh, you don't have a sore throat, do you? A little sore. It's been kind of dry today.
Very sore.
I've also been streaming a lot, which means I should probably stop. I'm just enjoying this game.
Okay.
So we read that one.
Yeah, so he just couldn't spell. Actually, that's a good thing to take note of, the fact that these notices are, for the most part, very well written. Everyone is quite learned in this land.
Apparently so. Yeah, it is at 1 a.m. I guess I can read.
Elderman.
We should probably stop. Heart, good people. Nilfgaardians paid me a visit, ordered me to tell all the village they'll hang any men caught helping the Redanian army. Tried to tell them no one's seen a Redanian here since times of King Merrill. They wouldn't hear it, so I'm hanging a paper with their warning all the same. Lightning struck the carving of the ladies. Struck the carving of the ladies. One stood by the stream. Grunted to nothing. Someone's got to whittle a new one for our good guardians grow angry. Got the talent. Grab a chisel and get to work. Alderman.
It's interesting. You would think that if something was struck by lightning, that they would consider another sign that it should be destroyed. But
Mark, any who can, like gooses stop laying.
Oh, what did I tell you? That we would find a goose that had issues laying eggs. Didn't I just say that
Blame the
several hours
leprechauns?
back? Several hours back, we were talking about how we would get notices and that we would find something. What was it? It was specifically a donkey that didn't eat. And I was saying if they cut it open, it's probably going to be some terrible tapeworm. And then we were bringing up other examples, and I brought up the example of a goose that wouldn't lay eggs. And then I said, oh, but maybe a chicken
But
would
then
be a
if you
better
cut
example.
it open, leprechauns will spill out. And they'll eat you cold. Pure evil.
Okay, we'll keep going. The
Goose
Peller.
stopped laying, though she's not but a year old. The Peller's said to smear her rump with rapeseed oil and get her laying again, but when I tried that, she pecked my hand so hard I still wear the bruise to this day. So I'm asking anyone who knows another safer method. Witcher wanted! Witcher wanted to root out and exterminate the monsters rampaging around these parts. During the time it takes to complete the contract, said Witcher will have to write to room and board in the alderman's hut. Cost deducted from final pay. Message from the alderman of Lindenvale. You know what?
Yes?
We have all these games with these, like, guardian spirit totems and whatnot.
Yes.
How many of them have it where the guardian spirits are actually real? Like, you know, there's always these games where, like, the gods are dead or the gods are, like, these, like, really high-end beings.
Well, Okami, they had statues.
Kind of,
and
but even then the gods were kind of garbage in that game.
No, that's true.
But, like, I would like to play a game where the gods are alive, well, varied, and active. Where you have, like, the Olympian-style gods who are just, like, some assholes on a mountain that every once in a while just come and shake everything up because they're bored. But then you have kind of, like, the smaller, like, land gods and local spirits and stuff that everybody also, you know, pays homage to because, you know, that's part of how,
Unfortunately, I think media has a predilection to have it that part of the conflict that spurs the protagonist along tends to be the disappearance or disruption of the gods, or even the corruption of said gods. So you often find yourself having to pursue and kill them or find out what has taken them away. And if you think about it, if they were present and if they were benevolent, then they could potentially
I don't
make
think all of them
your
have to be
tasks
benevolent.
too easy.
But, like, I'd love to play something kind of like The Witcher, but with, like, a slightly higher fantasy story where, yeah, like, you have a lot of these... It's kind of like Warhammer 40k, where,
Ghoul nest. Ought to just destroy it.
Oh, but everyone's trying to kill you.
yeah, See,
That's-
and I'd
that's what
want it
chat's
to
saying.
be like an absolute mix. Like, some good, some bad. The closest I can specifically think of actually would be Baldur's Gate to some degree.
Do you know what I think it's to avoid in part?
Hmm?
Having to develop proper lore as to why the gods exist, what they are, if they're immortal, mortal, ethereal, magical, natural,
I guess
flesh and blood.
I've just been playing a lot of games with gods recently. In them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hades, for example. A lot of gods in there. Oh, just a lot of notice boards actually just have new notices. Now that I'm looking at it. But, like, you know, having these deific beings kind of screwing around with life and reality, you know, actually,
But do you know what's interesting?
we desperately need to play Ashura's Wrath at some point. I know it's
Yeah,
not actually the
but-
same. You're just not listening. You're just like, yeah, let me talk
I am
now.
listening, but I'm responding to your thing about the gods. But go on.
No, I was just gonna say that's one of the only games I can think of where the gods are very active and you actually do kind of go back down to ground.
Damn, you're ugly.
Oh, it's this thing. This sucker was the first thing that actually killed me, other than falling.
Well, what I was going to say is something that I've noticed about those games with gods. You mentioned Hades, you mentioned God of War and stuff. I find it awfully interesting that more often than not, you yourself are a god or a demigod or something on par with these gods. Do you know what I mean? And it seemed as though you were describing that you wanted to find a game in which there are spirits and gods, but perhaps you yourself are not one. You didn't necessarily specify, but I think that power imbalance is part of the reason why they don't have gods. I actually even look back to Fire Emblem. But then again, I suppose that might be spoilery if we talk about the most recent Fire Emblem
Yeah. I
and your relation
I
to
just
gods
know I've
and
played a
stuff.
number of games where, like, the main character themselves is not, like, the baddest guy around. And I actually find that quite compelling, that there are things bigger than them, but those things are so big that the main character can literally never hope to touch them.
Mm-hmm. But then doesn't that mean you have to have one of them at least as a patron or something in your favor? Or
Not necessarily. I mean, imagine, for example, you have kind of the Greek pantheon just hanging out in the world, and you know they exist, and you might even see one of them, or even talk to one. You know, maybe they hire you to do something. But, like, why would Ares even give a dang about some random warrior? And admittedly, like, maybe this is how it works in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I actually don't know.
I almost feel like Ares, if there was a warrior of great renown, he would either try to recruit them as like a personal sparring partner or something, or get or he would feel potentially intimidated, or not intimidated. I suppose a god wouldn't be intimidated, but jealous. I mean, there are numerous instances in which gods are jealous of a mortal's capabilities and challenge them to a competition or outright kill them to ensure that they don't become a better to the gods.
I mean, but, like, I think the problem with that is that always implies that the gods are more fallible, I guess. And I think that can work as a storytelling element too. But no, I would want, like, the areas in this situation to straight up just be so big and so, like, detached that he just shows up to, like, clap when you killed a dude.
I've no gold. I've not, in fact, but you ever come to Claywich? I'll have a bloody barmy reward for you. You watch, wait and see.
I think our front light sputtered out.
Oh, really?
I'll have to take a look. I just saw a big flash. And I look out there and I don't see anything.
Huh. Everything's breaking around here. But no, I don't know. I guess I just always feel a little unsatisfied when there's minimal payoff on a lot of these, like, local
Local
guardian
spirits.
deities especially. It's like, you know, make sure you flip up the statues to that old god, whatever. Like, you know, recarve the totem for the guardian deity and stuff. And like, I almost wish it was one of those where it's like, by doing so, you actually manage to
Get a glimpse of it.
or interact with it in a more direct fashion.
Oh, look, we got ourselves a customer.
Not about to buy anything from you.
Oh, afraid you're mistaken. If we're to let you pass, you gotta pay.
And if I don't?
Then you die.
I already passed. What?
Go ahead, you try to take my coin. I think that was
Well,
just...
I guess we just went into...
Oh, you cut him in twain. I've never seen you cut a
I've
guy
done it.
through his
I've just-
torso.
Never done it that close up before. Anyway, that was a quick quest. Man, we've actually got like a solid chunk of this area explored. And then a solid chunk of this area that's not. Oh, God! Boy.
Well, all I can say is you cleared the road for the next traveler
Yep.
making their way through. They'll just have to step over the remains of the toll bandits.
I mean, chances are some critter's gonna drag him off first. Maybe.
This downpour's a bastard, it is.
But no, I guess I'm just trying to think of games that have, like, the local spirits and deities be, like, active movers and pushers in the same way that people would be. And there are not a lot of games that do that. And that disappoints me a little bit, because I'd love to see a world that's trying to develop around so many extra
What did I do to deserve your
influential creatures.
Here's another sad thing. And I was thinking about it in the context of some of the stories that I had been working on and such, where oftentimes when there are active gods, you find out that they're not actually godlike.
Yeah, they're
That they're
just Wizard of Oz.
pretenders.
Wizard of Oz situations. Yeah.
Pretenders, maybe they're an ancient, just technologically advanced race that's making people believe that they're gods. Or, yeah, a combination of other things. In any case, I assume that means that our female dog birthed a litter. We have a new batch of pups. Now, that's an instance in which a dog popped. You know how I read the other thing before about someone popping their dog? But it was clogs. It was actually popping their clogs. But we have a new batch of pups. 5 of them in all. Small and spindly. But enough to make... Oh! Enough to make a stew of. I'll sell them for a few crowns each or exchange for other food. Marta. Well then. I mean, I suppose
Puppy
if...
surprise.
Puppy surprise! If you guys don't know what Puppy Surprise is, it's an old toy that you could get back in the 90s where they had Puppy Surprise, Kitty Surprise, and I think Bunny Surprise. And you bought a stuffed animal, and the stuffed animal, they had a different variety of colors and such, but they had a Velcro pouch in their belly. You could open them up. I mean, it was grisly business if you think about it, but you open up your puppy or your cat. I mean, technically, it'd be your dog, cat, or bunny. And there would be a number of offspring inside them. And I think they could number anywhere between 1 and 4 or 5. And they would have little bows denoting their gender. And they would have different styles. You could even get runts. There were ones that were made that were slightly shorter than their siblings, and you could get ones that were twins, and it was interesting. Some of them had sculpted faces that were sleepy, other ones were excited and energetic, and they were cute. I personally had a puppy surprise, and I opened it up, and I got 4 puppies. One was a runt, one was male and the rest were female, including the runt. And I think one was sleepy. One was sleepy. I think two of them, the runt and the other one, looked like they were twins, but obviously they were different sizes. And the male puppy was specifically a really pretty color combination, sort of like a tawny brown. Unfortunately, as a child, I just tore all the bows off instantly, or lost them. But I still remember what I got originally. But yeah, that puppy surprise is still sitting at home. And actually, Wander was playing a game. What game were you playing?
Hive swap.
Wait, there was a pony surprise? I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in any case, so what were you playing?
Hive swap.
He was playing
And they
Hive
just had a
Swap.
bunch of like 80s and 90s referencey.
Yeah, so
things.
there was a puppy surprise. It was the pink version. Mine was brown. But it was in the room, and I go, Wander, look! That's a puppy surprise. You have to click on it. You have to look inside it.
I looked at everything in that game. I think I'd already looked at it, and you still were bothering me about it.
I said you have to open it up. And guess what? You found a key inside it. It's a great place to hide stuff. Except mine was stuffed full of puppies, so it probably wouldn't be a good place to hide stuff.
Anyway,
Yep.
shall we do this? Grab cards and maybe beat what's-his-face at cards?
Okay. I'm sorry I went on the long tangent about puppy surprise, but I don't know. Just the mention of it. Thatch repair. I've the knack and kit for fixing roofs. Or is it roofs? Or as you would say, roofs. Any man neglecting to care for his own hut's a fool. A couple such sots in midcopes refused my services, their huts burned to ash. Must have been fate sending fire to say it ain't wise to skimp on such things, so think it over, kind folk. That doesn't make sense. How would the roof needing repairs lead to a fire? Can you tell me that? You would think that it would just... I mean, we're hearing rain right now. You would just think that it would make them sopping wet and it would leak through. Do you think he actually...
Oh, I think they rot.
But if they rot, they're not going to catch fire.
Yeah, they can.
And
Because it's a bunch of straw.
it is.
Like, just piles of straw, which once that starts to rot...
But rotting...
Oh, if your thatch roof starts falling and lands on your oven.
Oh, I see. No, that makes perfect sense. I didn't know if they had a layer of wood or something else underneath it. And that the thatching was just to keep the water out. But no, that makes sense. Rubs for aches and more. My daughter's hands be strong and supple, and more than one man or wife complaining of witch shot or other aches of the back have come to her greatly troubled and left at ease. If hard work in the fields has got you hunched like an overburdened ox, come to our hut and find relief. Allie. P.S. Waste not your time nor ours with lecherous proposals. I see. They were referring to other massages and stuff.
My daughter Bilberry, lovely girl, an apple of our eyes, died this year after a short life.
Oh. She was only 4 years old.
We buried her in the graveyard by that crooked birch. Whoever wants to place a lump of earth or light a candle for her, that's where to go.
Oh.
Watkins.
Ointment for diverse ailments.
Ointment for carbuncles, boils a gout have I, to exchange for salted meat or such. Be warned, 'tis awful rank and noisome to wear, yet I swear it works wonders. I didn't realize
You
these...
look familiar.
Nope.
Fancy a gander at our little...
These note boards or
me
whatever.
what you got.
Notice boards, there we go. I am awake. Oh, he hasn't restocked yet. Well, just buying one more of everything, I guess. As most definitely not every card.
Man, toys were great back in the 90s. I'm gonna keep saying that. it's saddening going into toy stores now and seeing how the quality of the toys has dropped, and then also how everything's a tie-in to some movie or comic book series or television show.
I think back in the day it was just really easy to
Well, back then they had to pitch a product and they didn't even necessarily have a story for it. But I think in all those documentaries that we've watched, the Toys That Made Us specifically, they were starting to talk about how there was a shift where you had to have a known property in order to sell your toys. You couldn't just have, say, a bunch of animals or themed characters and hope to sell them. Because if you think back in the day, sky dancers and dragonflies, do you remember that craze with the helicopter propelled toys?
Yeah.
And how for a while it was all about just collecting different designs and color combinations. But then, oh yes, we have to make a television show, you know, featuring the dragonflies and the sky dancers. I'd like to go back and watch a couple episodes just to see how they panned out, because I think I only watched an episode or two of each. I think I didn't have the right channel for them.
So from what I remember, Dragonflies had a really unsatisfying ending.
Oh. What were they even fighting against?
Kind of their weird knockoff Skeletor. Not even kidding, it was pretty much just knockoff Skeletor. And his associated Skeletorian-related goons.
I know that they definitely got into trouble because kids were firing them at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I admit, there were a couple instances in which I'd fire my Skydancer horizontally and just shoot it off. And yeah, you're not supposed to do that at all.
Wouldn't mind a few
And they
rounds
hurt.
of Gwent.
Though I only ever had 4 Skydancers. One was like my original release Skydancer. And then there was one from probably the 3rd generation or 4th generation of Skydancers. I didn't like the mold for their bodies quite as much, but they glowed. Like they lit up when you blew them. I specifically got them because one was the moon and one was the sun. They had really nicely sculpted handles. And then, oh, what was it? And then I had these 2 mini ones that came with a carousel. Because I absolutely loved carousels when I was little.
Man, this really does not feel like nearly as many dudes as I was hoping for. Alright.
Everyone's talking about more old toys.
The commander's
That's
horn.
fun.
Okay. Oh, do we have a... No, we probably don't have another full test. We sort of do.
Oh, right, you have different types of full test. Now, are you able to mix a deck that will be able to counteract his ability to draw cards and...
Well, so I'm actually going up against just a random dude
Oh, sorry.
as a practice thing.
I'm sorry. I was so distracted thinking about old toys.
And no, I don't. This guy's supposed to have a lot more cards than he does. Isn't so bad.
Yeah, it must be interesting
no
for
siege
people who are
dudes.
watching. I wonder what generations they've grown up in. But yeah, I mean, we're born a couple months apart. And you're a 90 and I'm a 91. So, yeah, like people are saying, what exposure we had to 80s toys was because they were still in production or they were with children or cousins that were a good, like, 4 or 5 years older than us. That would have been there for the tail end of the 80s. I mean, my father had a number of examples of, say, 50s or 60s toys. Not too many. It was mostly relegated to, say, an old model of the USS Enterprise, among other things. I had some old Star Wars figures. I don't know if they were the original run. I think we had Chewbacca, Han Solo. Maybe it was just those two. I know that some of my friends had the ones with the telescoping lightsabers. Those were some of the old ones.
Oh, that's a morale boost.
Oh, Cabbage Patch Kids. I never got them. I didn't really like anything that looked like babies. I think my grandmother and great-grandparents had given me baby dolls, but I was never too interested in them. I wanted action figures and dragons and Transformers. Specifically the Beast Wars Transformers, because Transformers transforming into cars? Eh. Into colorful animals? Yes.
I like the ones that turned into cars, though.
Or I should say, yes. I want to be like Megatron. At least the Megatron of Beast Wars. Oh, so you're losing so far? Is it because of the fog?
Got rid of the fog.
Okay, good. You are rid of the fog. Now you have an advantage.
Unless he's got more fog.
Ouch.
Which is an issue.
This is bad.
Oh, that's ranged units. I want this one.
Ah, he cleared the weather.
Fine. I've got some options.
Mm-hmm. Well, he only has 3 cards left.
I don't have much, and I'd shoot myself in the foot if I did more.
Mm-hmm.
See what he chucks at me.
I mean, you can't do anything.
We need more of those spy cards.
He only has 2 cards left.
Yeah, I don't think he has much.
Yeah, you won the round.
A
Victory!
win. Barely. I'm gonna look up where to buy spy cards from.
The more I drink, the clearer I think.
Yeah, where do I get all the spy cards from? Because spy cards are dumb.
You look familiar.
Okay, so it looks like a lot of them I have to earn from random rewards from Gwent players. Looks like there's only a handful of them too. Does mean I'm just gonna have to spend a lot of time playing Gwent. Probably worth it.
The more I drink.
Okay, let's go see if I can test my luck against the Baron. I mean, my deck's better than it was.
But the fact that he
Blowing
can,
hangover.
yes, strengthen your hand, but then draw more to his, Are you storing things there?
Yeah, I'm just chucking everything in the... I'll have to come back when I'm messing with equipment again, but, like, currently this is making it really hard for me to sell things.
Mm-hmm.
People... Oh, God, it is so dark in here. People really like playing Gwent since it's, like, momentarily playing a different game. I just... Yeah, I 100% agree. Let's see, Baron's still in here? Yeah.
I appreciate it when there's games within games.
I'm listening.
In the mood for
I'm always a big
Let's lay 'em
fan,
down.
very specifically, of card game minigames. Because so many games that I have loved have the same thing. Yeah, let me take a look. I guess I do have a lot of Scoia'tael cards now.
Ooh.
Oh. Wait, what's his special ability? Okay, so we might have ended up... Triggers the transformation of all Berserker cards in the same row. Oh,
Wait, this is Skellige?
yeah, turns out... might have a bit of a advantage here. Namely, apparently these guys are strong as hell. Comparatively. Unfortunately, I've only got a handful of each of these. What I'd like to do is expand the amount of these guys that I have.
Now, they seem to have added benefits. I see a stag and a bear and...
Yeah. Card is removed from the battlefield. It summons a powerful new unit card to take its place.
Oh. How would it leave the field? Unless it's... You have to play it the first round at some point.
Yeah, I think the problem is I just need to get more of each of these, because a number of these
How about
require
spell cards?
multiple of each cards. Because, yeah, for example, type bond, next to a card with the same name to double its strength for both cards.
Yeah, you don't have enough of
The
those
problem is I only
warriors.
have one. We got one of pretty much every card, but we need a little bit more than that. I don't know how long it takes for stocks to restock. So we'll just go back to... I know there's the monster deck. But yeah, same thing. Find any cards with the same name in your deck and play them instantly. Like there's some really goofy builds that you could do. I just can't yet. So we're just gonna stick with the Northern Realms for the time being. Even if they're not that much better. Okay, so what do we redraw? Well, it's an absolute siege fest. Can't say this is that bad, actually.
I mean, yeah, having the horns. Wait, why did you keep the guy that's number 4?
Oh, yeah.
Because he only works with others of the
Yeah, I
same
should have
name.
redrawn him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm not in full card game mode.
Well, maybe you just didn't remember what he did. Now, what's the difference between the trebuchet with the blue background versus the tan background? Oh, he's bolstering that one.
I siege units.
Ah, now he's adding something to your side.
Mm-hmm. Lets him draw more, which is risky and annoying.
Now, if you skip a turn, does that mean you skip for the rest of the bout?
Yeah, the rest of the fight.
He passed?
Yeah, he passed.
So that means you should pass.
Yep. I'm kind of hamstrung for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Luckily, she's a siege engine. Lets me bring back anything I wish. Oh, interesting. He's just added to my hand.
Ah, interesting.
I'm just gonna go for the trebuchet.
Now, yeah, it's interesting that no weather cards have come into play, but at least you have the sunshine just in case he
Yeah, I've got a clear weather.
throws down something. But you both have trebuchets and siege
Battle
engines.
of siege weapons.
Scorch, what did that do? Destroy one of your cards?
Which is really risky.
He has 6 cards. He
Yep.
used Scorch again. And he brought that to your side. Oh. Fortunately, you drew something the same strength, but that won't be enough.
Mm-hmm.
At least she's a ranged unit. Did you pass?
Yeah, I did.
Then you're just gonna lose.
We'll see.
Oh, I see, but you keep what's in your hand. Wait, really? You're...
You still got a lot of cards. I put too many cards down early.
Mm-hmm. You don't really have much to play. You're gonna have to hope that the last couple of cards he has can't outmatch.
I pretty much don't have anything.
You don't have anything at all. You're gonna have to play this
so
again.
I lose.
Yep.
His scorches hit me
You're
pretty
not
hard.
complete shite.
Okay. So I think I'm going to get rid of
Honestly.
my weather effects entirely.
And get rid of the guy
mood
that
for-
serves no purpose if he doesn't get with
Let's lay
another
him down.
one unit of the same name.
They're useful, mainly because I don't have any other particularly high tier things. Like, my numbers are really bad, if you notice. So what I want to do... Oh, yeah, there's Scorch.
Yeah, Scorch is good.
What's Decoy do? Let's see. Now, I don't know how to use a leader ability. Clear any weather effects resulting from biting frost in play. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to rely on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see what you have.
Okay. So I got these two guys, which is good.
A lot of strong units. And then there's that guy.
Okay, so we're gonna redraw him.
Ooh, good. You got Scorch.
I'll take a Scorch. I don't have any horns. I got
you have
one
horn.
I'm gonna re-roll Zoltan for second horn.
You got a horn.
It's not bad.
Now, do those guys help others in their row? Wander?
Mm-hmm. These guys?
Yeah,
No, they just help each other.
they just help each other.
Yeah.
All right. So I would suggest playing
I'm gonna
other
pop
cards. Yeah.
all of my siege engines and a horn, probably.
Interesting.
We'll see what he plays. The problem is... almost should have just passed right in then and there. It's pretty good though.
Wait,
okay. No. Do I save the horn?
What is he? He didn't pass, did he?
No, he hasn't passed. I'm gonna just...
He can play as much as he wants, so you're going to have to...
So the thing is, he could potentially just take a loss and hurt my cards. I don't want to play any more cards right now, because all of my... At this point, he'd be baiting me into using more cards than I have. As part of the danger of spies, because effectively...
So do you... That's why you're considering just throwing your horn down?
Throwing my horn and then ending, because the horn's not going to help me much on the next round anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to do that and see if he tries to match it.
Unless he has a card that renders yours useless, like one of the weather cards. But you have the weather
see,
anti...
he passed.
Ah.
So, I more or less have to hope that I outmuscle him on the next round. Because I pretty much knew he was going to pass. No matter what. But that's okay. Because he can't just, he has to outmuscle me this time around.
Okay, so they help each other times 2. Yeah, he's scorching one of... Wait, does he scorch both? Is that because they helped each other?
Cards.
Ah, you played into his hand there. I thought it only went 1. So that's why you want to have things that are uneven in strength? Now that has a spy symbol, doesn't it? What does that do? You're giving it to him? Oh, but you got to draw more.
Okay.
So what would you have to destroy on his side? Wait, you passed?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I suppose that's a tactic. What are you getting rid of?
It just kills the strongest unit on the battlefield.
Ah. Now, is he going to combo that one?
You very well might, yeah. Not much I can do about that.
Yep, he comboed it,
Nah,
but hey,
it's
you
fine.
can do the same tactic.
Yeah, I can hit him with the same goddamn cheese.
Well, he has 4 more cards at his disposal. You're going to have to hope that when
Well,
you
he
double
would
your
have
range
probably
units...
scorched me at this point.
Ah, he's using it on that. But that means that you'll still be able to buff your ranged units.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. He might have a
enough.
fog. He's got 2 cards. We'll see if he... yeah, he beats me.
Yeah. Again. What do you need
I mean,
to
he
do?
just plays super dirty.
Wait, he just...
Oh, I won.
You won?
He only had rain.
He only had rain left?
Yeah. Barely beat him.
Woo!
We gotta get some more cards.
You won. A man's only as good as his word. Take the card. I fear Velen's short on worthy opponents. Boat builder in Oroton might be one. There was also an old soothsayer. Lived east of here, near the windmill, last I heard. There's a lad, about as reasonable as an old mare, but he plays a devilish hand. In fact, I don't rightly know that you're ready for him.
Well, Victory!
Yay, cards. So yeah, definitely gonna have to do more card play stuff. Hopefully the merchant here restocks at some point so we can buy some more spares
Did you save?
of things that I already have. But no, I should save.